There is an image most people on Earth would recognize. Not a painting. Not a monument. Not a flag, a silhouette, a hat. A single white glove. The question worth asking is not why Michael Jackson was famous. The question is how a human being became a symbol recognized instantly across cultures, across generations, by people who have never heard a single note of his music. That is not a question about talent. It is a question about design. Welcome to 1% More. One video. 1% more than you knew before. Michael Jackson's career spanned 5 decades and produced some of the best-selling music in recorded history. But the aspect of his work least examined and arguably most influential on the culture that followed was not musical. It was structural. Long before the language of personal branding existed, before social media made visual identity a professional discipline, Jackson was building something that had no name yet. Each album was a complete visual universe, a specific palette of colors, a silhouette, a set of objects, a choreographic language, a cinematic grammar extending from the record sleeve to the stage to the street. Off the wall was elegance, white suit, black tie, the vocabulary of Fred Astaire updated for 1979. Thriller was danger and spectacle, red leather, transformation, horror and pop colliding for the first time. Bad was confrontation, black leather, buckles, asymmetry. Dangerous was mythology, the album cover alone, designed by Mark Ryden, contained dozens of layered symbols that rewarded extended study. Each of these was a design system, and the designer was Jackson himself. The Thriller jacket was not a costume choice. It was a commission. Costume designer Deborah Nadoolman-Landis, who had previously designed the costumes for Raiders of the Lost Ark, was hired specifically to create a visual language for the Thriller era. The red leather jacket with its black V-shaped detailing was designed to read clearly at distance, under stage lighting, and in a music video, every element was functional within the system it was built for. Jackson collaborated with costume designers Michael Bush and Dennis Tompkins from the mid-1980s until his death in 2009. Both described a process in which Jackson arrived with precise ideas, references, sketches, specific requirements, treating the design of his wardrobe as an extension of the performance, not a separate consideration. The Bad album cover introduced a visual identity so distinct from Thriller that it functioned as a deliberate reset, signaling to the audience that what they were about to hear would not be a continuation of what came before. The Dangerous album cover, painted by artist Mark Ryden, was the most ambitious visual statement of Jackson's career. Ryden described the brief as requiring a painting that would contain the full mythology of the era, its references to childhood, spectacle, and global scale. The resulting image repaid detailed examination in ways that no previous pop album cover had attempted. Before Michael Jackson, the music video was a promotional tool, short films broadcast on television, designed to sell records. The format was functional. It was not considered an art form. Thriller, released in December 1983 and directed by John Landis, changed that permanently. At 14 minutes in length, it was not a promotional video. It was a short film with a budget of $500,000 at a time when most music videos cost under $50,000. It had a narrative structure, professional choreography, and production values drawn from the horror film industry. The decision to produce Thriller at that scale was Jackson's. The record label was not enthusiastic. The budget was recovered through a simultaneously filmed documentary sold separately. The result was a video that aired as a television event and created, as cultural historian Henry Louis Gates Jr. later observed, an entirely new set of expectations for what a musical performance could be. Every major pop artist in the years that followed was evaluated partly on the quality of their visual output. The music video became a designed object. Jackson had made it one. Black or White, released in 1991, used digital morphing technology, the seamless transition between human faces, in a way that had never been seen in mainstream media. Smooth Criminal introduced a visual grammar of geometric precision that influenced the language of performance for decades. The White Glove first appeared in 1983 during Jackson's performance of Billie Jean on the Motown 25 television special, the same performance that introduced the moonwalk to a mainstream audience. The glove was not an accident. Jackson had been wearing two gloves earlier in his career. The decision to wear only one, on the right hand, heavily sequined to catch stage lighting, was deliberate. He described it as a way of drawing visual attention to the hand that executed the most precise movements in his choreography. The red Thriller jacket, the fedora, the white socks with black loafers, each carried specific visual information within the system Jackson was building. The white socks, worn with high-water trousers, drew the eye to the feet, to the footwork, ensuring that the technical precision of his dance was visible in large venues. Every element was designed to serve the performance. And in serving the performance, each became shared cultural vocabulary that required no context to decode. Today, the original Thriller jacket is held in the collection of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The White Glove has been auctioned multiple times, reaching prices in excess of $300,000. These are not souvenirs. They are design objects, artifacts of a visual system built with deliberateness over 4 decades. What Michael Jackson built across his career has a name now. It is called brand identity. The coherent visual and conceptual system that communicates who an artist is before a single note is heard. The alignment between sound, image, fashion, performance, and merchandise that contemporary artists manage with teams of creative directors and visual consultants. Jackson built it with a small group of collaborators who understood they were not designing individual elements, they were constructing a language. The artists who followed, Madonna, Prince, Beyoncé, Lady Gaga, Kanye West, all operate within a framework Jackson established. The idea that a pop career is a series of eras, each with its own complete visual identity. The idea that a music video is a cultural event. The idea that the objects an artist wears on stage carry meaning beyond the stage. These are now assumptions so deeply embedded in the music industry that they are rarely examined. They were not assumptions before Thriller. They were inventions. The moonwalk was first performed publicly on March 25, 1983. What the audience saw that night was a dance move. What they were actually watching was the debut of a visual language that would be spoken in various dialects for the next 40 years. The hat, the glove, the silhouette. They did not become symbols because Michael Jackson was famous. He became that kind of famous because he understood, before almost anyone else, that an artist is not just heard, an artist is seen.